Hello again, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. Up first on our hazardous weather graphic, not a lot on here. The winter storm warning, of course, ended in the Brooks Range here, and the advisories, wind advisories have come down. Western Interior still have, again, a frost advisory for the greater Fairbanks area, including North Pole and Goldstream. For tonight, actually the advisory is out from midnight until 8 in the morning, and temperatures drop into the upper 20s in some of the valley areas, of course later on toward tomorrow morning. So frost will be a problem in some of those areas. Moving on to the fire danger chart, a little different from yesterday, a little bit of a decrease up here in the northwest from Kobuk Valley on up toward Noatak and out toward the coast there, Kivalina. Just some areas of high fire danger now persisting, though, and more widespread here over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, with actually a small area of extreme fire danger southwest of the Yukon River there over the Yukon Delta, with high fire danger all the way down toward northwestern Togiak Bay, or the western part of the area there, and then extreme fire danger just on the western side of the Alaska Range right through here, central Alaska Range. Probably due to the windy conditions, Sparrow-Vaughn winds gusting 25 miles an hour today, and of course dry conditions out there as well, no precipitation, and winds 20 to 30 miles an hour out of the north here, blowing across portions of the southwest interior as well. Otherwise, fire danger pretty low, especially with the precipitation that came across southern Alaska last night and into the Copper River Basin, Prince William Sound, significant precipitation, so no fire danger here right up into the interior and on out to the North Slope areas. Panhandle good, and of course nothing out in the Aleutians. So moving on to satellite imagery, we can see the batch of clouds here that brought the heavy rain in across the Manuska Valley, Copper River Basin area down into Prince William Sound. Valdez, 24-hour rainfall amount of 2.7 inches, and anywhere from about like 1.33 inches fell in Gulkana, and up to 1 inch in Palmer falling with this moisture last night, and a ½ inch over at Tok, up at Tok on the other side of the range, with lighter amounts back up to the north there. This slowly moving off and becoming a little lighter on the precipitation, clearing skies falling in behind across Cook Inlet and the Kenai Peninsula. Much wider spread clearing out here over the western interior, right up toward the Brooks Range. Still had some snow falling today along the Arctic coast up there. Winds much lighter than yesterday for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast on into the Brooks Range area. And a little bit of some cloudiness here. Frontal's boundary right actually just south of there. This is a mid and high level cloud associated with it, but no precipitation in the Adak-Atka area. Didn't see any precipitation at Shimia or the eastern Aleutians today, as well as the Alaska Peninsula. Just a lot of low clouds, areas of fog out there. And for the rolling that again, you can see this system is going to continue off to the east and slowly weaken, while the southeast coast today, mostly cloudy skies with just scattered shower activity going on. Some here over the southern areas. Looks like the next developing system right through here, that's going to be moving up, spraying some rain into the southern southeast coast during the day tomorrow. Otherwise, on the chart today, we've got low over there in the Yukon. Another weak low here over Cook Inlet. The trough, though, area cloudiness kicking off the showers. Some of those still moderate here over the eastern central Copper River Basin on down to the North Gulf Coast areas, but the precipitation is much lighter than it was here over the last 24 hours, and scattering out, but cloudy skies here over the central eastern Tanana Valley. But this clearing back to the west, that'll be moving on in tonight. And of course, that's going to lead to the possible frost conditions here over the mid and upper Tanana Valley, with snow continuing today but much lighter in nature with some fog here over the eastern Arctic coast. And again, those winds have really come down just 10 to 15 miles an hour this afternoon, even lighter back to the west with just some isolated rain or snow showers, say from Point Lay down to Cape Lisburne and Point Hope area. High pressure here right along the Russian coast. Areas of gusty winds, 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts, for example, out of the north at Cape Romanzoff. Sparavon, as I mentioned, seeing about 25 miles an hour. Otherwise, 20 to 30 miles an hour here at southwest interior, and that at the highest. Other areas saw less wind than that, and the winds diminish here as you get down to the Alaska Peninsula. Low clouds, fog, Pribilof, St. Paul, St. George, eastern Aleutians. Well, actually all of the Aleutians. Not too really serious problem with the fog out there, and definitely not the winds. Main wind, strongest winds will stay to the south of the Aleutians as that front pulls off to the east. And for tonight, does just that. The rain shield moves off to the east and southeast. Could be some areas of drizzle here, fog over the Bering Sea. Maybe some of that catching the Aleutians a little bit, but high pressure will continue to control the area out there for the next couple of days. And the interior will be mostly clear. That clearing edging its way eastward here, but lingering showers. Most of the night will continue here from the Eagle area down across upper Tanana Valley, 40-mile country here back into Prince William Sound, and even possibly over to the Talkeetna Mountains, but that'll probably occur before midnight. Chance of showers North Gulf Coast, and another trough, weak trough, keeps a chance of light snow and fog going for the central Arctic coast now. With dry conditions, really not much of a weather producer at all, that 1,012 millibar low there over the Kobuk Valley. And then looking ahead to tomorrow, you can see that weak low, kind of a thermal low there, pressing eastward a little bit. Sunshine, light winds, mostly sunny here for the central interior areas. Back out toward the coast, could see a little bit more in the way of clouds along the Yukon Delta coast, but generally it'll stay VFR out through this area with that continued offshore flow. Mostly sunny for the Seward Peninsula, Nome, all on over to White Mountain, and some scattered rain and snow showers over the eastern North Slope, possibly the eastern Brooks Range there, but precipitation really not significant at all, along with the winds very light, so areas of fog back along the western Arctic coast through the Chukchi Sea to the Bering Strait, and no change really for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And this front spreads rain on up across the southern southeast coast and slowly pushing northward. Chance of rain in the central areas tomorrow, otherwise dry on up to the north. Showers from the North Gulf Coast. They'll extend into the Gulf of Alaska. And this front will move through tomorrow night and weaken, dissipate. So on Thursday, we're looking at, on Wednesday, got the label wrong there, that should say Wednesday. And we're looking at scattered showers now for the central and southern panhandle with maybe some partial clearing, otherwise mostly cloudy with this low lingering down on the southern coast there. That's where the best chance of showers will be. The ones up to the north will be much more isolated and lighter, and still an upper level trough right through here, signified by the dashed lines I got. Could be some scattered isolated thunderstorms over toward the border in the afternoon, otherwise scattered showers from the eastern Brooks Range southward across the Alaska Range into the northeastern Prince William Sound area, the North Gulf Coast, and dry and sunny. Kodiak Island, mostly sunny there, but mostly sunny also over the southwest interior, Kuskokwim Valley, even Cook Inlet on up into the Susitna Valley. Partly to mostly sunny here, central Tanana Valley areas, back to the northwest, out toward the western Arctic coast. Still a chance of some flurries and fog there along the central Arctic coast. Whatever precipitation falls will be quite light and probably won't be measurable, just trace amounts. Bering Sea still no change, high pressure starting to retreat a little bit here as a weak low tries to slip on out of the Russian Far East there. Look for some showers to kick off in the afternoon over the Seward Peninsula. Low clouds, fog, drizzle, maybe some light rain here for the St. Lawrence Island area. Otherwise, northeast winds 5 to 15, low clouds and fog, maybe some clearing for the Aleutians into the Bering Sea, so no storminess out there at all. In fact, hardly any storminess on the map here. This front barely onto the southern part of the chart there, and just looking at this, really the upper level trough here and then the low down off the southeast coast. And for lows tonight down there, mostly in the mid to upper 40s, Otherwise, again, upper 20s to mid 30s for the the central Tanana Valley here, with 40 to 45 degree temperatures on to the southwest. Up in the Arctic coast, 25 to 30 for the lows. Anaktuvuk could get down to 24, 30s, upper 30s for St. Lawrence Island. And then the highs, 60 to 65 here, Bristol Bay and Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, on up across the Kuskokwim Valley. Lower 60s, central Tanana Valley up into the upper Yukon, upper 50s, lower 60s, the southeast interior areas. 30 to 35 for the highs for the Arctic coast and North Slope, and 50s to lower 60s. A little more sunshine, nudging those temperatures up for the Panhandle tomorrow. Mid to upper 40s for the Aleutians and Pribilofs. And then the lows back down to upper 20s to lower 30s there for the central and eastern Arctic coast, while the Kobuk, Koyukuk, and upper Yukon valleys will be in the lower 40s. Mid to upper 40s here over the southwest interior, cooling back to the lower 40s out along the coast, near 40 for the Pribilofs. Lower 40s Aleutians, mid 40s Alaska Peninsula, south central Alaska, Kodiak, mid to upper 40s for the Panhandle. And then following that up with highs on Wednesday, back into the mid 60s there for the Bethel area, mid to upper 60s, pushing 70 toward McGrath, and lower to mid 60s there, upper 60s, upper Tanana Valley, and lower to mid 30s for the Arctic coast, while the Panhandle continue to see those temperatures recover. Kind of a warming trend the next couple of days, mid to upper 60s now over the north.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Out to the west, a lot of IFR here across the Aleutians, southern south central Bering Sea, but VFR from, looks like starting out VFR for the Pribilofs here, right on up into the central interior. IFR there. A little bit, maybe just over the crest of the Brooks Range on back out to the Arctic coast. And some IFR up along the North Gulf Coast. Panhandle, VFR over Prince of Wales Island. IFR starting the day out up in the north. And then for the afternoon tomorrow, marginal VFR Copper River Basin up to the Alaska Range. Westward here over the northern Susitna Valley on up to about Healy or so, and then VFR over the northern southeast coast with the conditions lowering as that front approaches. So sea lanes visibility is coming down late in the day there, with IFR just about making landfall around Prince of Wales Island there on the coast. VFR for Kodiak, Bering Sea, east side, VFR, IFR still over the central western Aleutians and northward, but VFR from the Pribilofs to St. Lawrence Island. And then for Wednesday morning, a good swath of IFR up here, North Slope Arctic coast, marginal VFR, south of the mountains VFR, again upper Yukon Valley, right on out into the northern and eastern Bering Sea, down across the Alaska Peninsula. But IFR holding out there over the central Aleutians onto the west, marginal for the Fox Islands, marginal east side of Kodiak Island, up into Cook Inlet, marginal VFR in the morning, over the Panhandle with IFR down toward Klawock and Heidelberg. And then for the afternoon Wednesday, marginal VFR here for all of the southeast coast up to Yakutat, and again up across the Wrangell Mountains there to the eastern Alaska Range. But VFR here, southern Alaska, northward to the Brooks Range, marginal VFR with the IFR now just on the western Arctic coast. Really nice VFR out here, again over the eastern Bering Sea, and then holding IFR there, central western Aleutians. And for passes tomorrow, Anaktuvuk looks pretty marginal, as does Adigan. The lowest conditions still on those northern approaches. For Lake Clark and Merrill, good VFR, rainy VFR, and windy VFR also. And it looks like Isabel starting out marginal, becoming VFR during the day. But Mentasta will be mostly marginal. And for Tanita, good VFR, could be some showers around, especially in the afternoon, over the mountains here either side, but through the pass, VFR and whatever showers get in the pass there will be of the VFR variety. And for Portage, starting out IFR, becoming VFR later in the afternoon. And Chilkoot and White, marginal becoming VFR. For the freezing levels, we've got 8,000 feet here over the eastern Bering into the southwest interior, and 2,000 feet north of the Brooks Range, and then a cold pocket here coming down into the northern panhandle there at about 2,000 feet, and out to the west, 8 to 10,000 foot freezing levels with the southwest bearing in the western Aleutians. And for icing, maybe just a chance of some isolated moderate up here, eastern north slope areas in the Arctic coast, above about 4,000 feet. Better chance here of seeing some light to isolated moderate rime icing slipping on up into the southern panhandle with that front, all above about 6,000 feet. Jet stream, sharp trough here, still tomorrow right through the interior, high pressure back to the west and northwest. Upper level low there off the southeast coast, that's the one associated with that next front coming in to the area, while at 9,000 feet, northwesterlies at about 30 knots here coming onto the northwest coast, 20 to 30 knots, and then turning westerly here and diminishing to 10 knots over the eastern interior. Northerlies at about 15, turn easterly at about 15 over the Aleutians, so not too bad wind-wise, and then the increase in the winds with this system there approaching Prince of Wales Island. Same thing at 3,000 feet, easterlies or southeast increasing to about 25, southern southeast coast. Pretty light over all interior Alaska, high pressure, easterlies 15 to 20 over the Aleutians, and maybe 25 knot winds on the western Arctic coast. Turbulence-wise, probably enough wind to create some moderate chop there, especially for smaller aircraft. Western Brooks Range on out to Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, and then isolated moderate chop across the Kobuk Valley here southward a little bit, and much of the western Arctic coast, and also increasing turbulence here down over the southern panhandle there, especially around Prince of Wales Island up to possibly Sitka. And after the break, I'll return with a look at the marine forecasts.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snider, and joining me once again is Cindy Preller. She is the Tsunami Program Manager for the National Weather Service in Alaska region. Thanks for joining us again, Cindy.
Thank you, Dave.
We're talking about tsunami awareness and safety here in Alaska especially, and one of the things that has been one of your main focuses is the Tsunami Ready program. What is that, and how do Alaskans find out more?
Awesome. Yeah, Tsunami Ready is a National Weather Service hosted program in partnership with Storm Ready.
Okay.
And it is a program that we conduct with our partners in the state, but it's mostly community driven. So if a community wants to become Tsunami Ready, well, the first thing they need to do is get a hold of me or their local WCM at a weather forecast office or their tsunami team at the state level.
So, and this is something that's a NOAA grant, so there's money available to help encourage the preparedness at the local level there in the city or the village.
Yeah.
What are some of the places that have done this already?
Oh, our oldest Tsunami Ready city is Seward.
Good.
You know, but also Sitka, Homer, Valdez are the, you know, the main players, but we've got several Tsunami Ready communities that I'm very proud of. It takes several years to accomplish this. And so a few of the things that they do is the tsunami risk will be assessed by someone like me or another scientist will help find out, you know, really what their probability is. We'll create an inundation map, an evacuation map. They'll have a mitigation plan. We will set up some partnerships with the schools, make an evacuation shelter, and then they need to practice. But it is the city that owns the program, really. It's up to them. And many cities would like to have sirens, and so we help them get those, and, you know, and they practice. They have to practice.
Sure. So let's say I'm driving into a place like Seward that's tsunami ready. What are some of the things I should look for as maybe a visitor so I know maybe where I need to go or can be more aware of my tsunami risk?
Absolutely. The Tsunami Ready signage is really blatant. It's this, you know, blue and white curling wave sign, and there's different shapes of signs that'll show you if you are in the hazard zone or where the evacuation routes are and when you're out of shelter.
Okay. So this is a multi-step process that helps the residents be more aware of their own risk, but then also prepare for when that risk arrives.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, many communities sound their sirens daily, some sound them weekly, you know, to make sure everybody knows what they mean. And there's often drills. We have an annual drill once a year. We have Tsunami Awareness Preparedness Week, and that's a good time for each community to do some exercising.
Okay. And is this a program that is unique to Alaska?
Absolutely not. It's national.
Okay.
And all over the country, you'll have the same signage, so it's consistent.
Good. So if I'm taking the kids to California, I should be able to see something familiar.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And, you know, some communities hesitate because they think it'll discourage tourism. And so I would like to tell those communities that what they're actually doing is they're encouraging responsibility.
Sure.
The tsunami's going to happen.
Right.
And it's going to hit every coastline. So, you know, it's not about when, it'll be any time. So the fact that they're showing tourists that they are making steps to be prepared for this, I think would encourage people to want to stay there.
Right. And that would be no different than, say, you or I visiting the Midwest, where we know there's going to be really bad thunderstorms and maybe there's a risk for tornadoes. We're aware of that risk when we go there.
Absolutely. If I see a sign for a tornado shelter, I'm going to remember that.
Right. Okay. All right. So we're just doing a better job of being more prepared with something that's bound to happen again.
I hope so.
Okay. Very good. Where can people go again to learn more about the Tsunami Ready program here in Alaska?
Well, one, there is a Tsunami Ready website. So, you know, just Tsunami Ready,
Google
and that'll
Tsunami
get you
Ready.
there.
Okay.
And then probably the best person for people to contact is their warning coordination meteorologist at their local weather forecast office, which is Anchorage or Juneau, most likely.
Okay. All right. So most of the folks along the Bering Sea coast, again, are not at a huge risk for tsunamis.
No, they don't need to worry about it.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good. But always learning to be prepared no matter where you are in Alaska, no matter what the risk, always a good step. And tsunami is a major player in that, as we well know from events like 1964.
Alaskans are resilient. I really believe in them.
Very good, very good. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for joining us again, and please make an effort to learn more about the Tsunami Ready program in your village and town if you haven't already. We'll be back with Cindy again next time to talk more about the Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska. We actually have a group of geologists working for the National Weather Service, so scratch your head on that one and we'll join you next time. See you next time on Alaska Weather Packs.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis, finished Monday afternoon. A lot of open water here. Not much change from what we've seen the last couple of days. A little bit changes up here along the edge of the ice field in the north there, but not too much out here to the west. And just minor changes expected. Really just a continuation of a slow thaw here for the next 4 or 5 days. And moving on to coastal water forecasts, we've got winds coming up with that front approaching east 30 knots tomorrow afternoon here for the south coast. Gusts 45 knots down on the southern coast. In the afternoon, seas building 10 to 11 feet there. Lighter winds up to the northeast 20, turn north 15. Lynn Canal southeast at 10, north 10 for Stevens Passage, and southeast coming up to 20 knots for Clarence Strait. And for Wednesday, back down to 10 knots here for Clarence Strait, and west to 10 Stevens Passage, south winds up to 20 for northern Lynn Canal, and the south coast east now 15 with 7 to 8 foot seas, and north to northwest here for the north coast with seas 6 to 7 feet. Prince William Sound east 15 knots, seas 2 feet, northeast 15 for northern Cook Inlet, and then southwest 20 south of the Forelands with 5 foot seas, then back around to the southeast Kamishak Bay. And the North Gulf Coast winds tomorrow east at 15 knots, right on across the Barren Islands. Outlook for Wednesday, south winds at 10 for Cook Inlet, seas 2 to 3 feet, southwest 15 Kamishak Bay, Barren Islands, western North Gulf Coast, and then those turn westerly at 15 knots for the eastern North Gulf Coast, seas 7 feet. Light westerlies Prince William Sound with seas 2 feet or less. And for Bristol Bay, as well as the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula, northwest 15, seas 3 feet for Tuesday. Northeast at 10 here for the Pacific side of the peninsula there, all the way up to Sitkinak. Northeast at 10 with those seas at 5 feet. Northeast at 20 here for Shelikof Strait, and light northeasterlies there on the east side of Kodiak. Outlook for Wednesday, swinging those around to the southwest there, 20 knots, seas 6 feet, and Sitkinak to Castle Cape south at 15, then Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev east at 15. Light northerlies on the north side of the peninsula. And Bristol Bay looking at west winds at about 15 knots, those seas only 2 feet. Western Aleutians, northeast 20 tomorrow with seas at about 8 feet. 15-knot winds for the AKwx area with 3-foot seas on the north side, Pacific side 8 feet, and then kind of a north to north, or basically average it out, north winds 10 to 15 knots for the Fox Islands. Those seas down to 3 to 6 feet. Outlook for Wednesday, east to east-northeast 15 to 20, a little bit of an increase here for the eastern Aleutians. Seas not really responding too much to that. Northeast 15 to 20 for the central Aleutians, northeast 15 on out to the west. Southwest coast tomorrow, north winds 15 knots, same thing for St. Matthew Island as well as up around St. Lawrence Island. Pribilof's northeast at 15 with 4-foot seas. Outlook for Wednesday, St. Lawrence Island, Norton Sound west at 10, northwest 15 here for the southwest coast. Pribilof, St. Matthew Island, northeast 10 to 15, seas running 3 to 4 feet. Up along the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, south to southeast at about 10, and light winds here for the central coast, 15 knots out of the west, on down to Cape Thompson to Wales, northwest at 15. And then for the Wednesday outlook, we've got northwest winds 15 knots, and then from Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort, north at 15, dropping off to 10 knots here out of the west or west-northwest for the entire stretch of the Beaufort Sea coast. And for the outlook for tonight's forecast, still some snow, light snow, fog going on central Arctic coast, kind of another batch of moisture slipping on down from the northwest there. So diminishing here in the east, and a little bit of an increase there for the central coast, Wainwright to Barrow on over to possibly Nuiqsut, but negligible amounts. Dry, clearing skies here in the interior. Frost advisory out for the central Tanana Valley. Temperatures drop into the upper 20s. Showers diminishing but lingering here for the eastern interior across the Copper River Basin, North Gulf Coast. And look for some clearing with just about no shower activity for the Panhandle. Outlook for tomorrow, that'll change with rain moving in across the southern Panhandle along with those winds kicking up. Fair over the interior. Outlook for Wednesday, mostly sunny, except some showers in the east. Thank you for joining us.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.